What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Live Wealthy back with our daily Apple update video where we take a look at how Apple stock traded today, some key support and resistance points, as well as what the future could look like for Apple stock. So real quickly, you guys killed it with the support on the last video. We had a lot of good conversation down in the comment section. So drop a comment if you want to chat about Apple, or if you are holding Apple, or if you made money on Apple, or what you think the future for Apple is. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to grow the channel, and each like and subscribe goes a long way. So really appreciate you guys doing that, but let's get right into the video. So let me hit the 1-day chart here, and what we see is overall kind of a sideways day for Apple, up about 9 cents, but if we count after hours, we're down technically. But one thing that I do want to do is compare to the indexes, which the NASDAQ was down about 0.8%, the Dow was down about 161 points, and which is about 0.5%, 0.56, and S&P was down $2.20, which is about 0.63% or 63 basis points. So compared to that, compared to everything being down, the fact that Apple wasn't down, right, is kind of better than the indexes, which is good. So if you remember yesterday's video, I talked about, hey, we're at a point where we could see some selling off. So I personally thought that we would open either a slightly higher and then see a sell-off, or we'd open sideways and see a sell-off. So we opened we opened a little bit low, and then we pushed up, which was kind of a surprise. But then, as you could see, for the rest of the day, we sold off. And then we made a push back towards the VWAP again. So started off pretty strong above the VWAP, below it, kind of flirted around with the VWAP. Then we broke below it, and at that point we did not revisit it until very late in the day, right? Even one time we were trying to get up to it, didn't even make it up, and then there was some selling, and then closed the day. The one thing that I do want to focus on is we're going decently strong, and then we kind of closed the day below, like slightly below the VWAP. So we broke VWAP again, which is not good. But as I had said yesterday, there probably would be a lot of selling pressure, which there was, from highs of 123 to lows of 119, is definitely not good. Hope you guys were able to take advantage of some of that movement. I personally put on a put option, bought it yesterday, sold today. I think it was like a 10 or 11% gain. Wasn't huge, right, for options, but something nonetheless that I could take advantage of. For those of you that are new, I hold Apple stock long term, and then I try to play around with options for the short term. Currently taking on pretty small positions just because of market volatility, around things that aren't necessarily Apple focused, such as the stimulus bill and everything going on with coronavirus. So taking small positions here and there, but I had mentioned yesterday that I was looking for it to go down. Personally thought it was going to go down a lot sooner rather than it fading throughout the day, but hey, nonetheless, we hit that level. So just to show you guys that when I say something, that I'm kind of putting my money into it as well. But yeah, so taking a look at what the future for Apple could look like. So just taking a look at the 5-day chart again, what I want to point out is this level here that we closed on the 9th, and then we open up on Monday the 12th up here. So there is a pretty decent gap here that we haven't filled yet, right? And it starts in the 119s. The one thing that I do want to focus on, right, is we have sort of tested that level twice. So if you, again, watched the video yesterday, that I've talked about us potentially going down to fill the gap. We hit that level twice, right? If we look at 1, 2, and then if we look back here, right, if we were to go below that, we'd start filling the gap. At what point we stop when we at what point we stop? Well, there could be multiple things, right? I'll talk about some key support levels with the exponential moving averages. But other than that, filling the gap means, we kind of go down to where the gap was, which was, as we see from here, it was in the high 117, in the high 116 or 117 level. So this gap is yet to be filled. What happens tomorrow? Well, my sort of analysis on this, right, and this is what I'm looking at, again, feel free to agree or disagree on what you think Apple will be doing. But what I think will happen is if we gap up a little, right? Because technically you can make the argument that Apple was a bit stronger than the overall market. So if Apple were to gap up, it would be a small gap up, and I think potentially followed by some profit taking, or we could open up sideways or lower. At that point, I'm going to be monitoring this 119s level closely, because what we could see is, a sell-off, right? And a lot of times, a stock will hit twice and then kind of break through the third time. So we've had that already happen. We've had the 2 hits already happen. So the third time it sort of visits that, it could break through. I'm not saying that it's going to go all the way down to 116, right? I'm just saying that if it opens up sideways or lower, right, and the stock looks weak overall, just something to keep in the back of your mind is we do have that gap fill there. And if we were to open up higher, I personally think that we could see resistance, kind of around here, which is where we were at before, and it served as kind of a turning point a couple times, with both being a support and resistance point in the high 122s. So the upside is there a little bit, the downside is there a little bit, and until we establish kind of where Apple heads, right? Tomorrow, if it heads up and it beats the 122, high 122s and continues forward, bullish, take advantage of that. If Apple breaks down and this time goes below where it kind of went today in the 119s, that's also something that the 119.62, that's also something to kind of keep in mind. And then, understand that, hey, we do have a gap to fill. Taking a look at some of the indicators. So, this is the daily chart. I'm going to zoom in here really quick. As we see, this general uptrend continues, right? It's not really an uptrend. Well, I guess it is an uptrend in the long term, right? But what's happened is we go up, and then I talked about last week, we were kind of trading sideways between 113 and 116s. We broke out of that with the gap up, and now we're trading, between this high 119s level to the 124 high 124s, the 125 level. So now we're trading in this range. So we could be consolidating for a few days, potentially, kind of figuring out where we want to go next. Taking a look at some of the indicators that I like to look at in the moving averages. So we've got the 20, 50, and 200 moving average. That's the ones I look at. The 20 moving average comes in at 114, which is way down there. Don't think we go that low. 50 moving average is also 116.71. Kind of aligns with the gap fill that I'm talking about, right? So if we were to fill the gap, again, not saying we are, but if you see it going below that 119.70 something, potentially filling the gap, and it has good support with the 50-day moving average. And the EMA, the AEMA, so they're going to be right here. The AEMA comes in at 118.69. The 21 comes in at 116.43, right? So I think the AEMA is typically a pretty strong point. So even if we go below that 119s level, I would say the first level to look for is that AEMA in the 118.69, and then the 21 EMA kind of similar to the 50-day moving average in the 116s, also kind of where it could fill the gap. If it goes down all the way to fill the gap, it would be, high 116s around the 117 level. So those are things to watch out for. I'm personally kind of waiting to see. So yesterday I mentioned that I had a position that was a put position that I took advantage of when it went down today, as I sort of talked about in my video yesterday. I didn't take like a straight position today. I currently don't have an open call or put position. What I do have are vertical put spreads, which is essentially betting for the stock to be above a certain level at a certain point in time. So it's like saying by next Friday, I think Apple will be above 121. And that's sort of what I have right now. And then I'm also long on the stock. So I'm really, interested to see what happens tomorrow if we continue kind of trading sideways between the ranges that I mentioned, or if we break out one way or another, whether that's going down potentially into the gap or going up and kind of breaking through that. High 120s that we struggled to break out of today. And then kind of things outside that I like to talk about at the end of my video, right? The reason why I'm keeping my trades kind of small. First things first, we saw some weakness in indexes all across Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, which is typical for an options expiration week. So this is the first week of October, which means that a lot of the monthly options are expiring this Friday. So there could be volatility for, kind of the big players to knock some people out of their positions. Totally normal. The other thing is we are kind of done with the catalyst, right, of, both Apple's event and Amazon's Prime Day happening yesterday and today. So those catalysts are done that we were kind of talking about to boost kind of the tech sector. and bring a hype into it. Now, pre-orders do start in a couple days, so I think that could be kind of something to look out for as well. And the third thing being, you know, there were kind of reports today that the stimulus deal is potentially off the table again until after the election. Again, they've said that before and then started talks again, so not sure if that's 100% accurate, but wouldn't be surprised if that was the case as well, or if, you know, even if they try, they can't reach something by the election. So the stimulus is something that the stock market is really looking forward to in terms of liquidity, and I think that could push it up, as well as vaccine news. But until we get that, right, any delay will probably cause it to trade sideways or down. So yeah, those are things to keep in mind. And then some Apple kind of key levels that I talked about, depending on how it opens up tomorrow. Looking forward to, you know, checking out how it goes tomorrow based on how it opens. Again, usually I'll take a position end of day and then try to sell it the next day. Today I didn't take a position because I'm waiting to see kind of how it goes during the day tomorrow, and then kind of making my decision based off of that, maybe doing a little day trade with a call or put option. But yeah, that's all I had for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, comment down below, right? We love to have conversations down there. If you have made money off of Apple, or if you have any questions with something that I say, and then subscribe to the channel and like the video. It really helps me out. We're almost at 200 subs thanks to you guys and the support you've shown me, and I really, really appreciate that. So let's remember to be a bit better every single day, and until next time.